Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dr. Nasser Sheikh Show. I'm your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasser, and what we have on tap for you today is our continuing video clip series from Vice. It's part two of Latin Americans in America. What are their views, political, social, all of it? It's pitting basically conservative Latinos and liberal Latinos, and they're asking them those questions. And we're going to get to that clip in just a few seconds. But before we do so, please subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Comment down below. We really want to know what you think about a reaction to the video and what you feel, where you stand. Are you on the liberal side? Are you on the conservative side? You happen to be Hispanic or Latino? Let's get to part two right now.
Around now, for those of you that did vote for Donald Trump, what is the biggest misconception that liberals have about you for being Latino Trump supporters? What's the biggest misconception?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that the media paints people with a broad brush. And, when it comes to racism and stuff, they say, well, you're for this or you like this. Well, you're a racist then. And so you paint everyone as a racist when do you know what kind of friends I have? Do you know who my family's from? Do you know who I hang around with? Do you know what I stand for?
Do you even know me?
You can't just automatically paint everyone who's a Trump supporter as a racist because honestly, that dilutes from real racism.
Right.
What is real racism?
Real racism is right off the bat assuming things about a certain race or religion right off the bat.
If I'm gonna say something real quick, in the United States, when we talk about what we deem as politics, we tend to conceptualize it as Democrats, Republicans. It's a binary. So binaries can be very dangerous. So we have white, black, man, women, gay, straight. Someone in the binary, a group, will be privileged. Men, straight, so black, white. We live in this patriarchal, heteronormative world that is systemically racist. Racism manifests in many very different ways. And that is important for us to understand.
Maybe because you're manifesting it, because that's all you think about.
So real quick, the binary, anything that falls outside of the binary then becomes an other. So what I'm seeing in this argument is that we'll say, well, Donald Trump this, well, Joe Biden did this too, right? These are politicians. We're speaking in binaries, which is why I'm an independent. I lean more towards the left.
I just want to stop it right here. This gentleman right here, brings up some points that a lot of things that we talk about are basically a binary. It's either on this one or this one here. But I think he's trying to conflate that in the argument. This is what liberals do a lot of times. They basically talk about the binary because it leaves out everything else. And he was sort of alluding to the LGBTQIA, MOUSE, Mickey Mouse. I mean, right, the whole thing, correct? So what I'd like to ask him is that within the Latino community, there's not a binary there, is there? I mean, you've got Latinos, you've got Hispanics, you've got Venezuelans, you've got Colombians, you've got Nicaraguans, you have from El Salvador, you're from Costa Rica, you're from Spain, Portugal. I mean, they're all these places. So that's not a binary. So there's a lot, it's not a monolith either. I guess you would call it a polylith or whatever, if that's a word. But I mean, right? So he's basically saying, he comes out, and when you think, you go, oh, yeah, that's right. There's black and white, there's boy and girl, there's man and woman, there's lady and man. I mean, right? There's yes and no, there's right and wrong. Everything falls in a binary. And if you fall outside the binary, then you have no place in society. And within the binary, hey, someone's got to be on the top, someone's got to be on the bottom. Not always true. Not always true. Let us continue.
To reduce politics, the governing of people, to this binary is extremely dangerous.
Do you think that by voting for Donald Trump, they're voting against the Latino community?
The Latino community isn't homogenous. That's why we're here, right? The Latinx community. There are class dispositions, right? There are gender dispositions, there is sexuality, there are differently abled folks. There are all these.
So after just talking about everything as a binary, now he says there's a whole bunch of things or whatever. Right off the bat, right? This is what happens when you're talking to liberals. They talk on one thing out of their mouth on one end, and then boom, turn around, and it's like, wait a minute, didn't you just say that before? And you said you were for it, now you're what?
Kind of levels and sociological concepts constantly playing at the same time. So to consider us the Latin community, I think there is no such thing as a community. There are communities of Latin people. So perhaps you are voting in the interest of what you believe to be part of your Latin existence. But as I see it, coming from poor brown communities, absolutely, I think it'd be voting against yourself
She
in a
said
type of way.
something that I felt was very dangerous. She said racism is I don't want to misconstrue your words, but you said something along the lines like racism is happening because we're manifesting it. I'm a woman of color. Racism happens to me every day. I have to be.
Nobody cares, really. Nobody cares, okay, that you're a woman of freaking color. I don't give a damn about your color. Nobody gives a damn about your color. If you think about your color all the time, that's your freaking problem. Now, because of obviously different, ethnicities and backgrounds and, color and, all kinds of things, obviously. Yes, you're going to have people out there that are just idiots, that are just morons, that are just absolutely, bad people, racist, bigots, whatever you want to call it. But to completely blame everything in life, everything in society on your color, being a victim to your color, being a victim to your ethnicity, being a victim to your heritage, victim to whatever it is, that's a freaking problem. There are a lot of white people that would say, you know what, they have a problem being white because you know what, they're not getting what they want, and so they feel they're being, put over, put under, put aside.
Be pendiente. I have to be aware of it.
Like,
because
in what way? Like, what? Can you tell us about the
Can you let
racism?
me finish? Thank you. It lives in my life every single day. As I walk, as I get dressed, as I go to a store, as I go to a supermarket, every little thing that I do, race plays a part of it in my life as a woman of color.
So would you?
So you can't, again, thank you. Appreciate you.
Oh my God, the way she is here patronizing, I'm telling you what, folks, that's something that people don't like at all. They don't like that at all. Pretentious, patronizing, ugh. Classic B word.
So you cannot say that I'm manifesting it if I live in that life and if I live in that world every single day. You don't have to live the life that I do. So you cannot say I'm manifesting it if it's something that's in my everyday natural world.
Would you guys agree with the
'Cause I look
blanket
white.
statement that Trump supporters are racist? Do you guys agree with that?
To an extent, yeah.
So yes, the answer is
so-
yes.
So let's go back, to Trump. Who here thinks that Donald Trump has done something positive for the Latinx community, the Latino community?
His prison reform affects minorities in a positive light, not just African American community, but also Latinx communities as well. His reform for the prisons has
Anyone
positively
else?
affected
I look at it
minorities.
from an American perspective. I'm not here as I moved here from Colombia to be in America. I'm not trying to continue to focus on Latin American problems because I live here. So when I look at what the president is, whether it's him or Obama or whoever comes next, I'm looking at it as what is he doing for Americans overall? Is he cutting taxes for us, the middle class? Because there's a lot of Latinos that could fall there, obviously in poverty as well. But what is he doing? How is he loosening up the free market economy so that we can create jobs?
His economic policies, for
Right,
sure.
his economic policies for sure. So there's more Latinos, unemployment is down for both minorities, for blacks and Latinos.
The unemployment level of the Hispanic community is at the lowest rate it's ever been in the history of the
That
United
started
States.
before he was.
And that moderator, she just had to get that in, right? That's just started before, alluding to the Obama years, right? But it wasn't like that before, okay? It was starting to come down, but it drastically dropped under the Trump policies.
Policy that affects everybody, not just designed for one group of people.
Right.
Like there's Native Americans that need help, they're
I don't
their
care
lands
for
are
you
being
to
trampled on,
design
something like
something
that.
for me because I'm Latin. I care that you do what you do for Americans because we're all Americans.
Yeah, like don't do it because of, the way I look or because of my
Right.
cultural background, but do it because I'm here already, I'm working, I'm paying my taxes, do something that with a vision for the future that I can, that really benefits me, not just because you feel bad for me,
Right.
Does someone want to respond to that? Is it important to do something because of the way that the color of your skin is?
So like I teach this stuff, right? So I'm finishing my PhD, I teach about this. I'm teaching a master's course on it right now. Race or ethnicity or gender, these conceptualizations that we have were brought into existence for particular political purposes There is no biological essentialism to this. These are political and social constructs. So we've created.
Here we go again. Right away, the leftists, the liberal talking points. There's no biological reason for talking about male and female, men and women, gender, race, ethnicity. It's not a biological, it's just a social construct. That's all this is. Somebody in society basically just, made up these things and said, you're a boy, you're a girl, you're this, you're that. It's just social, people. Just social. That's all it is.
Laws that have historically murdered people for phenotypes, for genders, for their sexuality. So we've done this historically through policy. I don't see why we cannot also, through policy, create different types of reparations for people. There are different
Civil rights
laws.
there are
different ways. So there are different ways that these things manifest.
And he threw out the big R word again, folks. Reparations, right? One R word, racist. One R word, reparations. Hand in hand. That's what they do. They go hand in it, like a hand in a glove. Reparations and racist. Can't have one without the other.
And we can talk about the nuances of this as well. But yes, I do believe that people who have been historically disenfranchised through the United States, through their policies, yes.
When I say something like these words, that Donald Trump said, Mexican immigrants, they're criminals, they're rapists, they're bringing drugs. In countries like El Salvador, Haiti, and African countries, they're shithole countries. Who here, raise your hand if you think that is a racist remark. For those of you that did not raise your hand, why do you believe that's not a racist remark?
Because it was misconstrued by the media. So when I first heard it, I thought the same. And I was like, this is terrible that he's saying this about all Mexicans. But when you actually hear the entire tape of it, it's like, okay, here comes CNN and the mainstream media cutting off bits and pieces, and he's talking about the terrible criminals, the MS-13 gangs, the people that are rapists, the people that are criminals, the people that are killers, the cartel members that are coming through the borders.
I actually did listen to the whole thing, and he doesn't just stop at Mexico. He says Mexicans, and then Central South Americans, and then Middle Eastern countries. He doesn't even just go far as just Mexicans. And what is he talking about that? He's not talking about the white Cuban, he's talking about the white Latino, he's talking about the brown Central South American. This is my biggest problem with these conversations, because Latino in itself is not a race in this country. The people who are getting deported are brown. Some of them don't even speak Spanish. They speak Nahua, they speak Achiquel, they speak Quiche. And the border is saying we need people that speak these indigenous languages because we don't have translators from these communities. But then it gets paintbrushed by like the Latino label, and Latino means like, Hispanic and Spanish and whatever. And this is my biggest frustration. So when we're talking about Donald Trump saying, hey, these people are bringing drugs, he said some are good. Some are good.
Yeah, it's true. Some are
Some
not.
really
Some are not.
Like, I hate when I saw that, it's a little frustrating because
All of these indigenous people that you're talking about are gonna end up being on our welfare system.
So
No,
wait,
that's
wait, that's
racist.
not true at all.
Literally
So like,
racist.
A lot of them
my
are
problem,
on it right now.
my
Here
problem with-
illegally.
Who is indigenous here? Would you like to respond to that?
yes, okay, so that is on us. Number one, we don't get welfare. We are undocumented. We have to have a social security to get welfare.
Well, that's not
But they-
entirely
but they
accurate.
find
Welfare is
loopholes
not,
like having
welfare is not
children,
solely based on a check
etc.
from the government.
Can y'all let him finish, please?
So please, so again, people are ignored. For example, the biggest attention center here is in Homestead in the country, or the second biggest, and people are not talking about it. We're supposed to all be Latinos, and no, like we're all the same race, we're all the same raza, whatever. No, the reality is that Latinos are not one monolithic culture. They're not one monolithic group. There's
We
black
know that.
Latinos, there's white Latinos, there's native Latinos, and growing up.
In the digital
This did not start after Donald Trump. This was before Donald Trump. My family has been called Indios. They have been called Tira Flecha. My boyfriend's family called my family Dirty Indians. And this has been going on before Donald Trump. Donald Trump is just a fucking random figurehead in this whole thing.
We talk about policies, we talk about immigration, but like sometimes I feel like we don't even.
So I think you got the flavor of where the conservative Latinos are, and where the liberal Latinos are. And then you had the one gentleman in the middle there who basically is, studying for a PhD, God help us all. Another academic who's an elitist, who's a leftist, a liberal, a socialist, a Marxist, and whatever. And that's all fine and good. But again, it just feeds into the truth that most of our universities, whether they're with, white liberal elites or whether they are with, brown liberal elites or black liberal elites or, whatever color of skin or ethnicity or heritage or background, blank, 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 elites, that's what happens in our universities and colleges. And you get people like that that basically say one thing on one end of the mouth, and on the other end of their mouth, they're saying something completely different. And obviously, science and biology mean absolutely nothing for them. It's all about social constructs. It's all about oppression and being oppressed. It's all about white color being superior and every other color being inferior. It's all about racism. It's all about bigotry. It's all about, needing for reparations. It's all about everything in the past. Everything in the past. Don't look for the future. Don't try to better yourself. Don't try to do things, okay, that's going to try to, get you out of those situations if you feel that those are still putting you back. That's unfortunately where these people are coming from. The conservative Latinos, they're basically saying, hey, look, the problems that we have in America, let's fix the problems for Americans first, whatever their skin color, whatever their ethnicity, religion, background. Okay, fix America first. And then if we have the time and we've got the money, let's see if we can fix and help others. But if you don't help us, if you don't help Americans first that need help, what's the problem? We need border control. We need for national security, for all kinds of things. That's basically what they're espousing. Anyways, folks, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasser Shake Show. I'm your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasser. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. And I'll leave you with my final thought, which is when you're right, and when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.